All right. So this is a orientation to, basically it's more of a question and answer session to NUR 322. We have a orientation video that I'm hoping everybody watched so that you have a good idea of what's expected in this class. And then if you do have any questions, let me know. However, I will go through a few things just as a highlight in our first assignment. So my name is Diane Morrison. Some of you most likely know me because I did teach the last class previous to this, which was NUR 312. And I will not go through my office hours as you can see them here. And Tara, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Dr. Tara Socher, and I am happy to be here with you. And this is my first time teaching this course, so I'm really excited about it.
And Dr. Socher comes with a lot of experience, so I think it'll be a great class for all of us.
Awesome.
So basically this class, what it does is it builds on your med-surg knowledge. I actually really like this class because I see a lot of people increase their critical thinking skills, helps you think outside the box, just adds to your clinical experience and takes you on your nursing educational journey. So just a few highlights in this, things I just want to remind everybody. Plagiarism, you know, we now have the Turnitin tool, and it's important that when you're submitting your assignments, you're making sure that they're 20% or less, and you can submit your assignments up to 3 times. So you can go back in and make some changes and try to get that number down. The other thing related to assignments and plagiarism is the discussion threads, and you want to make sure that you only have a quote that is 20%. So what we do is we look at the number of words you have. So if you have a initial post that's 400 words, you could only have 80 words that would be in a quote. So and we have to stick pretty close to that cutoff point because it's 20%. So that, please pay attention to that. And late assignments, quizzes cannot be turned in late. We have a lot of quizzes in this class. We have 1 a week, and we have several major quizzes, and they have to be done on time. So we make sure that you start those early in the day. If you're having computer problems, you have other options, such as going to school, going to the library, or taking them on another computer. And then the assignments can be turned in late, but remember you have that 10% grade reduction. So if you turn it in on Wednesday, you're losing 30% of the grade. So that's painful. So you don't want to do that. Okay. Basically, you know, you have the discussions for this class. Your first assignment is in week 3, which I will go over briefly tonight. That's assessment of available complex care services. You have the weekly quizzes. You have the ATI practice test. And your last big assignment is your PowerPoint presentation. And we have a video about that, so I'm not really going to cover that at this point. And then week 7, you have your final exam. So, Danny, do you have any questions that you want to bring up at this point?
The quizzes, we just take them.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The quizzes, is it just a one-time thing, or do you give us 2 tries, or how does that work?
No, it's set up to, now the drug calculation quiz might be a little bit different, but I'll show you the first quiz. It should pop up here. This one, the weekly quizzes, you do have 2 attempts,
okay.
But they are timed, and you can take it, and if you want to improve your grade, you can do that, but just be aware of the final exam quiz is only one attempt. And the reason that is we're trying to get you ready to take the NCLEX. So, in your NCLEX, you don't get to redo things. So this just is a great way to get you practicing. The more you practice NCLEX type questions, the better you'll be. So just so you know the difference between those two. Okay. Do you have any other questions?
Not right now.
Okay. So I'm going to go through the first assignment, which is in week 3. And this is assessment of available care complex care services. And sometimes people get this confused with the one they did in 312 when you were looking at a community. This is looking at the community and then what types of complex care units are available in the community. So if you're looking at Salt Lake City, for example, you want to, your first thing would be to identify your community and talk about demographics. So demographics is the area, the population, cultural background, maybe education, male, female, that type of thing. So you would include that in your first part. And then basically looking at the city, you're going to see, what's available for complex care, which is ICU, CCU, NICUs, PICUs, those types of things. So you're looking at that area. I always think of it as using the nursing process. You're assessing that area to find out what complex care units are available. And then you're taking it to the next step and talking about what technology do they use in these complex cares. Now, many places now have the doctors that are actually online video in the ICU areas. Some of the newer technologies could be the robotics. Anything that you would like to talk about that discusses technology. Then if your care area, what isn't available. Now, Salt Lake City, I know, is pretty well blessed with many resources. But if you're doing an area further out, maybe Provo or some of the other areas, you might find that in the city you're assessing, there's not even an ICU or anything. So then you would talk about what's not available. How am I going to get to something close by? And how would I get there? So if you didn't have those things, how would I get to a NICU, a burn unit, that type of thing? And then you go back to your area and say what barriers are presented to accessing these complex care areas. So you could look at financial, distance, language, those types of things. Then in your own city that you've assessed, so going back to number 1, your city you've looked at, how is the public made aware of what you have and then where you could get the complex care areas? So many places now advertise on TV, billboards, internet, health fairs, those types of things. So you would assess that. And then your summary would be just an overall description of your paper and always include both positive and negatives. And when I tell students when they're doing an assignment, make sure that you're always answering all these questions because that's how you get all the points. And that's why we have the rubrics. It says here's, describe, is it current, advanced, outdated, and then give an example. So that's basically that first assignment. It's really interesting. And sometimes if you're assessing your own area, you find out things you didn't even know. So do you have any questions about that assignment?
I just want to know, last semester's assignment, you recommended that we kept it rural or smaller, just because it's easier to write about it in a smaller area. Does that apply to this or not?
Not really. I mean, that was a little bit different. I always think it's good to assess an area that you're familiar with. So if you live around the area, you might assess if you're Now, where do you live? Do you live right in Salt Lake City? I'm sorry,
Yes.
where?
I'm in Salt Lake.
You are, okay. I mean, you can do Salt Lake City. They have a lot to offer. Or if sometimes people will assess areas that they previously lived in or they're thinking of going to. I've had people assess where their parents live and then they can provide them with information about complex care areas. So it's really up to you. The idea is that you're looking at a community, a city, or a general area, and then assessing it for complex care areas. And again, like I said, if it's not available, how would you get to the ones that are available?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, good. All right. Do you have any other questions about the class?
Not yet. I don't really know what to expect. I don't really know.
Okay.
Know what yet. Yeah.
If you can watch the orientation video, it's basically your discussions. You have weekly quizzes, and then these two assignments, this one and the PowerPoint, and the final exam.
Where is the orientation video? Is it under announcements?
It should be in the announcements.
Okay.
Should be.
Oh, I see.
You see it?
Yeah. Okay.
And it's always good just to spend a few minutes. They're never really that long, and it's just a good, quick informational video.
Okay. I'll watch it.
Okay, Dr. Sasha, do you have anything to add?
Oh, not that I can think of. I've enjoyed listening. I appreciate you having me here tonight.
Okay, good. And a lot of times these are not well attended just because they're conflicts, but we will record. I'll make a recording and then you can post it in your classes also.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, if we don't have any more questions, I'll probably end this. Danny, are you all set? You think you've...
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
If I have any questions, I'll post it for you.
Yeah, if you have any questions, post them in questions to instructor, and then everybody will see the answer.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, and thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
You know.
Okay, all right, have a good evening. I'm going to stop the recording.